सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् साधन ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द
Hare Krishna Rama Aprameya Prabhu ji Dandas Pranams.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandas Pranams.
Yes, Lord, let me spotlight. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome all of you for the today's morning program, Nityam Bhagavatha Sevaya. And today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Rama Aprameya Prabhu, and he will be enlightening us on Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 1st chapter, verse 12. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradha Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranja Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस आचार्य स्तोत्र सच्चे श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस आचार्य स्तोत्र सच्चे श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, Text number 12. I hope my voice is clear. Please let me know if there are any issues. The chapter is titled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. So, shloka goes like this. Natasya kaschit tapasa vidyava na yoga viryena manishayava नैवार्थ धर्मै परतस्वतो वा कृतं विहन्तुं तनुभृद्विभूयात् न तस्य कश्चित् तपसा विद्या वा न योगवीरेण मनीषया वा नैवार्थ धर्मैः परतस्वतो वा कृतं विभूयात् न तस्य कश्चित् तपसा विद्यया वा न योगवीरेण मनुष्यया वा नैवार्थधर्मै परतस्वतो वा कृतं विहन्तुं शरणभृद् विभूयात्. So we will go to word by word translation. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Also,
No.
like in between, voice is becoming low, Prabhuji. So, like you can keep
Okay,
the.
okay. I will hold my mic near my mouth.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Na, never. Tasya, his. Kaschit, anyone. Tapasa, by austerity. Vidyaya, by education. Va, or. Na, never. Yoga, by power of mystic yoga. Viryena, by personal strength. Manishaya, by intelligence. Va, or. Na, never. Eva, certainly. Artha, by material appearances. Dharmai, by the power of religion. Paratah, by any external power. Swataha, by personal endeavor. Va, or. Kritam, the order. Vihantum, to avoid. Tanubhrut, a living entity who has accepted a material body. Vibhu Yat, he is able. Translation. One cannot avoid the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not by the strength of severe austerities, an exalted Vedic education, or the power of mystic yoga, physical prowess, or intellectual activities. Nor can one use his power of religion, his material appearance, or any other means, either by himself or with the help of others, to defy the orders of the Supreme Lord. That is not possible for any living being, from Brahma down to the ant. Purport. In the Garga Upanishad, Garga Muni says to his wife, Etasya va aksharasya prashasane gargi surya chandramasau vidhrito tishtataha. My dear Gargi, everything is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the sun, the moon, and other controllers and demigods like Lord Brahma and King Indra are all under his control. An ordinary human being or animal who has accepted the material body cannot go beyond the jurisdiction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead control. A material body includes senses. However, the sense activities of so called scientists who try to be free from God's law or the Lord's laws of nature are useless. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is impossible to surpass the control of the material nature, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is working behind it. Sometimes we are proud of our austerities, penances, and mystic yoga powers, but it is clearly stated herein that one cannot surpass the laws and directions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, either by dint of mystic power, a scientific education, or austerities and penances. It is impossible. The word Manishaya by intelligence is of special significance. Priyavrata might argue that Lord Brahma was requesting him to accept family life and the responsibility for ruling a kingdom, although Narad Muni had advised him not to enter household life and be entangled in material affairs. Whom to accept would be a puzzle for Priyavrata because both Lord Brahma and Narad Muni are authorities. Under the circumstances, the use of the word Manishaya is very appropriate, for it indicates that since both Narad Muni and Lord Brahma are authorized to give instruction, Priyavrata should neglect neither of them, but use his intelligence to follow the advice of both. To solve such dilemma, Srila Rupa Goswami has given a very clear conception of intelligence. He says, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yataram Upayunjata Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. Vishayan, material affairs should be accepted without attachment, and everything should be dovetailed with the service of the Lord. That is real intelligence, Manisha. Becoming a family man or king in the material world is not harmful if one accepts everything for Krishna's service. That necessitates clear intelligence. Mayavadi philosophy says Brahma Satyam Jagat Nityam. The material world is false and only the absolute truth is real. However, an intelligent devotee in the line of Lord Brahma and the great sage Narada, or in other words, in the Brahma Sampradaya, does not consider this world false. That which is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be false, but using it for enjoyment is. Everything is meant to be enjoyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 5.29. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva lokam heshwaram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supreme proprietor and enjoyer. Therefore, everything should be dovetailed for his enjoyment and service. Regardless of one's circumstances, favorable or unfavorable, one should use everything to serve the Supreme Lord. That is the perfect way to use one's intelligence. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुश्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं श्रीकृष्णं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकांता राधाकांत नमस्ते सप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम 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 Hare Krishna. So, we are beginning with the fifth canto now. We have just begun to study the fifth canto. We all know from past few days you might be listening the context. The context is that Prachetas are in the forest and they are doing austerities there. Now, there is a need of a good king to rule the world. So, Swayambhu Manu has already renounced the throne. For him, coming back and ruling again is not an option. He is not interested. So, Priyavrata, he had two sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada. So Priyavrata left home long ago, the elder son, to cultivate detachment. So that is why the younger son Uttanapada took responsibility. And that is how the whole fourth canto was going. The fourth canto was the descendants of King Uttanapada. But now what has happened is this has come to a break now. So there doesn't seem to be a way how we are going to continue. So that is why now there is a need of king. So in that context, this whole section is discussed. Now in this verse, particularly the purport, there are two matters that are highlighted, which we will be discussing today. One is the matter of authority, and second is the matter of dovetailing. These both are generally matters of confusion. There is many times devotees struggle on practical matters, on practical aspects of these two things. So we'll discuss the first thing now. So Narada, the spiritual master of Priyavrata, is pushing him for renunciation. And Swayambhu Manu, his father and also the spiritual master, is pushing him for family life. Now, Narada and Swayambhu Manu both are sons of Brahma. That way, they are also disciples of Brahma and so they are god brothers. So, both the god brothers are instructing Maharaj Priyavrata, the disciple, and he is confused. So, that is the situation. So, what should the disciple do in this context? So, this is a practical problem in Krishna conscious society also. Now, can we say one of them is right and the other is wrong? Can we say Narad Muni is right and Swayambhu Manu is wrong? Or can we say Swayambhu Manu is right and Narad Muni is wrong? It's a very difficult question because both of them are exalted devotees. Both of them are serious practitioners of Krishna consciousness. Both are sons of Brahma, the creator, who is another great devotee. So, one may ask that if both are exalted devotees and it is difficult to judge who is right, who is wrong, both of them may not be wrong, both of them may be right, then why this confusion is there? Why there are different opinions? Even among these two exalted god brothers, why they are having different opinions? So, first thing we should understand before knowing this is that there is variety in this world. Everyone thinks differently. Gurus think differently. Disciples think. Guru thinks differently. Disciple thinks differently. Two gurus differ in their thoughts. Two disciples differ in their thoughts. So the same formula can't work for all. Many times we might find that Prabhupada giving different instructions to different disciples. To somebody he said you get married. To somebody he said you practice brahmacharya, remain lifelong brahmachari. So it is the same formula may not work every time. Acharyas in parampara are different. Every acharya is unique. Every acharya, the way he presents Krishna consciousness is unique. Now, what's common among all is the message. The message of Krishna consciousness, the message of pure devotion will not change. So they are intelligent enough, the Vaishnavas are intelligent enough to manage the difference in thought process, the difference in ideas, and at the same time keep the message of Krishna consciousness intact without change. So that is why they are called as pure devotees intellectually. Now, Manu and Narada, one thing common among them was both of them wanted service to the Lord only. None of them had any other ulterior motive. Both wanted eventually to enhance the service of the Lord. Both wanted the disciples to, both wanted their disciple to serve the Lord eventually. But the approach was different because of variety. Uh, Now, hearing this, this may be a cause of frustration, disturbance. Actually, Mayavadis are frustrated with this variety. That is why they resort to impersonal confusion. Neti, neti. So, this is not right, this is not right, this is not true, this is not true. Eventually, nothing is true. They want to negate the world. So, someone likes a mango, for example. Somebody else likes a banana. Now, if you want to satisfy both of them, how will you satisfy? Somebody likes prasadam sweet. Somebody likes prasadam. Udupi and all, if you go, the sambar they make it sweet. Whereas if you go down south in Tamil Nadu, they they will not even add anything sweet in sambar. They don't want it like that. So there are different varieties. Uh, Now, how to satisfy all these people? How to satisfy in such a way that we can please everyone? It is difficult, no doubt. Now, frustrated by this variety, the Mayavadis, what they conclude is that maybe the Brahman, the Param Satya, the Brahman, doesn't have all these varieties. So there is no headache. It is very easy to satisfy. So Brahman doesn't have any of these liking for taste, liking for food, liking for good things, liking for good scenery, and all these things. Maybe these varieties are not there. So that is why it is easy to satisfy the Brahman. But contrary to that, Brahman has all the varieties which each and every living entity has. Now you see, I have some varieties. I have some taste likings, dislikings. You have some taste, you have some likings, you are different. This forum has so many devotees. Each of them has a unique taste for food. Just for food also there is unique taste. What to speak of the variety in music, the variety in art, the variety in literature, the variety in ideas, thought process, speech. If we just every day you are hearing Bhagavatam class, do you think all the speakers they are presenting the same thing the same way monotonously? We find that every speaker is speaking differently, putting forward different points, right? So now, is that increasing the happiness or reducing? So Krishna Katha, when presented in different way by different varieties of people, it eventually increases the happiness. Just like the different food products that are there in the plate, the chutney, the sambar, the dal, the pakoda, the sweet, they all increase the taste. Now, we cannot make chutney like halwa, or we cannot make halwa like chutney. Chutney has to be spicy, halwa has to be sweet. and their quantities are also determined. We cannot change the quantity also of it, but all of them are required for increasing the taste of food. Similarly, all these varieties are required to increase the taste of Brahman, to increase the pleasure of Brahman. Okay, now suppose there is a festival. Can we just make one khichdi and it's a easy job, no? Making, you have to make dal, you have to make pakoda, you have to make sweet, you have to make so many varieties. Then if we allow the Matajis to make chappan boga, they will fill the whole thing with so many varieties. It's a headache. Why we want to take so much austerity? Can we just not make one khichdi? No, but then for that happiness, for that enjoyment, we are willing to take that tapasya. That tapasya is eventually for happiness. Now, that tapasya has an element of love in it. So that love is what Brahman wants. That love is what Krishna wants. Because otherwise there is no way to satisfy the Param Brahman, because there is so many varieties. How much varieties can we give? We are limited. We can give very less variety. But if we offer with love, that love makes the Parabrahman happy. That love makes Krishna happy. So just like a mother, puts effort. Mother puts effort to cook nice things so that the child will be happy. So that effort shows her love for the child. So Krishna is looking for that effort. Now, context is not of prasadam, you may say. Context is of different authorities. Now, even Krishna needs this variety. He wants different authorities who have different inclinations, who have different moods to enhance his service. He wants someone like Narad Muni to instruct and make sannyasis, the sons of Prajapati Daksha, into sannyasis, so that the sannyas ashrama increases. There are more renunciates who can dedicate their life for preaching Krishna consciousness. He also wants great kings like Maharaj Priyavrata. So he creates spiritual masters like Swayambhu Manu to create such great, extraordinary kings who can perform extraordinary activities. Now, as we go on reading the fifth canto, we see Maharaj Priyavrata has done extraordinary services, unbelievable, after accepting family life. First of all, he marked the Bhumandala into 7 divisions. He created a completely new sun which supports this during the Dakshinayana, when there is darkness, he created a new sun altogether. Then, because because Maharaj Priyavrata took Grahastha ashram, eventually Supreme Lord was born in that Vamsha in the form of Vrishabdeva. He taught the world what is real renunciation. And then we are able to discuss the extraordinary quality of Jadabharata, the extraordinary renunciation of Jadabharata. So all these things we are able to discuss today because of this one decision of Maharaj Priyavrata. So because he took this decision, so all these great things could happen. So because Narada was there, great sannyasis came. Because Swayambhu Manu was there, such great grahasthas came. So all these varieties are very important. So okay, but then the confusion is still not solved. Two spiritual masters are there, two authorities are there, there is discussion. How to decide? Still matter of confusion. So now the putting effort, that comes in picture. Whenever there is variety, you have to put effort. So Brahma uses the word Manishina. Manishina means it's a Tritiya Vibhakti with intelligence. So there is a need for the disciple to apply his intelligence and decide what is necessary to enhance Krishna Bhakti. So that is the effort from the disciple. One should not be lazy in this matter. People are mostly intellectually lazy in the society. All conflicts are because of intellectual laziness. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned not to be lazy in matters of Siddhanta. Siddhanta Vishaya na karo alash. In the matter of philosophy, in matter of Siddhanta, one should not be lazy. So all difficulties and conflicts are because of intellectual laziness. Uh, Somebody say, "Oh, my authority says this, Prabhu, finished, matter closed." Or somebody may say, my authority says that, something else. Now, when there is a conflict of authorities, then there is confusion, then there is fight. Okay. Sometimes it so happens that we have some preconceived notion. We have some thought that, okay, I have to do like this. I have to do, I have to arrange the temple like this. I have to arrange the altar like this, or I have to do service like this. I have preconceived notion, which may be wrong. But what we do is we search for those authorities who agree with our conclusion and say, Prabhuji, finally so and so authority has said this, then this is the thing. Or sometimes we might take Prabhupada's quotes also out of context. As I said, Prabhupada instructed different disciples differently. So we might take out of context the Prabhupada quotes also just to support our own preconceived notions. Now, all these things is laziness and it's also cheating. That we are not putting enough effort to comply with Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. These are the three benchmarks in the initial SSR classes when we preach to newcomers. We tell this, no? We follow three authorities. The three authorities are Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So, after so many years of Krishna Bhakti, these still continue to remain the guidelines for us Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. That doesn't change. So, there is endeavor required from the disciple to go through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Then that endeavor will give results. Everyone is required to thoroughly, sincerely study Prabhupada books. What Prabhupada says, suppose there is a confusion in a matter, what Prabhupada says in this context is what is mentioned in his books, what is mentioned in his letters, what is mentioned in his lectures, all those things. There is enough endeavor needed in this regard. Then what does our Guru say? What does our spiritual master say in this regard? Then, because what happens is that suppose we might get certain instruction from authority, some guru, but then the context may be completely different. So, because the context may be completely different, the endeavor to find the truth is required from the disciple. So, uh, when we have to sincerely study Srila Prabhupada's books, we have to find out from his conversations, from his lectures, we have to hear what our spiritual master says. There is a sincere need to hear from the spiritual master because that way we can appreciate the glories of the spiritual master, how much he is following Prabhupada's instructions. If we are reading Prabhupada books and also hearing from the spiritual master, we can appreciate, oh, my spiritual master is following all this what Prabhupada is teaching. So that way we can appreciate the spiritual master more. And there is a need to hear from other sadhus. There is also a need to hear from God brothers, hear from other devotees. We have this daily hearing program here. It's very important because through this we get this regular Shravana dose, with which all this knowledge comes. That way, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra can be a summum bonum. All these three can be together used. So, now one may question, after hearing all this, one may question that, Prabhuji, we are also told to read Prabhupada books. We are also told to hear from Guru. We are also told to hear from God brothers. We are told to read Prabhupada's conversation. Does it not increase the confusion? So, if we just follow what our Prabhuji says, what our just one thing mentioned to us, or what I feel, I have read this, I read this in Prabhupada books, I feel like this, I just follow. Is that not good? Why increase the confusion by so many things? So, now what do you think? Would you all like to give your thoughts in this regard?
Krishna devotees lines are unmuted, so you can unmute and say.
So the question is, does it not increase the confusion by reading more, by hearing more, by increasing the authorities?
Certainly, Prabhu, it will confuse. I mean, neophyte, but not so for an advanced devotee.
So what's the solution?
I think we should follow the spiritual master whose life can guide us.
But then Prabhupada has also told you have to read my books.
But the spiritual master will be taking from the Prabhupada's book, no, Prabhu.
So, here we find that we know the story of the sparrow. There was one sparrow who was on the on the seabed. She had put eggs, and what happened is the ocean took away the eggs. Then she told Samudra, please return my eggs. Kindly help me. Then the Samudra did not bother. Thought it's a small bird. What it will do? So then she warned, please return. Otherwise, I will put some serious effort to dry your ocean. He laughed internally. What can this small bird do? So then, with the determination, the bird started. It would take in small beak, little water, go out, throw it. Small beak, little water, go out, throw it. Now, seeing this effort, Samudra still laughed. What is this? It's a foolish thing. Why is trying so much? But then other birds saw his effort and they said, we will also help you. And other birds started helping. So many birds started helping this small bird. Till anyway, it was not possible to try the ocean. But then, after seeing all this hard work and hard effort, Garuda's attention was diverted towards that. So then Garuda came. And Garuda was so happy to see this, my dear child is putting so much effort. And then he warned the Samudra, Samudra, now I have come. You decide. If you want, I will also get into this effort. I can dry the ocean in any minute. Are you ready to return the eggs of me? Then immediately Samudra got afraid. And immediately he came, he returned the eggs because nobody can challenge Garuda's power. So, what we learn from this story is that if the endeavor is there, help will come from top. If a sincere endeavor is there, Priyavrat Maharaj did not just sideline with one decision. He was intellectually, he was thinking what is right, what is wrong, whom to follow, whom not to follow. That's why he was confused. He could have just become lazy. Oh, Prabhuji, why confusion required? Just follow one person. But then he was knowing that these two are exalted devotees. These two are really sincere devotees, and both of them really wanted this me. So that is why he received help from Brahma. Because he was putting that effort, he received help from Brahma, and Brahma came and he gave the right guidance. He told him what is right to do in this context and what is wrong. So then, uh, so the point here is that any sincere endeavor by the disciple, Krishna will help. The disciple, we are right. Ultimately, we have to follow the spiritual master. But then spiritual master is not personally present. Here, even with spiritual master personally present in front of them, there is so much confusion as to what service to do. Two spiritual masters were personally present, still there was confusion. So, because of our conditioning from so many lifetimes we have been conditioned differently. So then we might not take the instructions also properly. So although spiritual master is there and he is guiding, but the disciple may have so many problems. So that is why the effort, the tapasya from the disciple is required to clean these anarthas, to clear one's heart. So that tapasya is possible by constant study of Prabhupada's books, by constantly hearing from spiritual master, by regularly hearing from other devotees. So this austerity of intelligence, this austerity, this is called austerity of intelligence because our intelligence is contaminated. See, we all have the five gross senses, and then we have the mind, intelligence, and false ego, correct? So then, because of the contamination of our false ego, what is happening is that we are into this material world. Now, once we are in this material world, then intelligence comes into picture. And that intelligence is also contaminated because it is meant to satisfy, it is being used to satisfy our material desire. It is that intelligence is not being utilized for service of Lord. So it so happens sometimes that when we take decisions in life, even pertaining to Krishna consciousness, sometimes we glide towards our sense enjoyment, or we might glide towards Labha Puja Pratishtha. Does that not happen practically in our own life? We can see. You all might agree with this. That sometimes we take such decisions which somehow in our mind the progress in bhakti is there, but then somehow we tilt towards sense enjoyment, and our decisions are based on that. Now that is because our intelligence is contaminated by material touch. This intelligence is required to be purified. So we sometimes utilize philosophy also for increasing sense enjoyment. So this intelligence needs purification. For purifying this intelligence, for purifying our physical self, we take bath every day. Correct. And then there are other activities for purifying the self. There are mantras and all this. For purifying the intelligence, this exercise of depending on Guru Sadhu Shastra is very mandatory. The more we study Prabhupada books, the more we hear from authorities, the more we hear from spiritual master, the more we are exposed to this, the more there is an opportunity to purify the intelligence. So Manishina word is very important here because Brahma is emphasizing intelligence, but that intelligence he is emphasizing as purifying the intelligence. So in this process, if a disciple is sincere, because Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that all intelligence comes from him. So we cannot decide what is right and wrong. Here Priyatatmata Maharaj could not decide. He will not be able to decide also what is right and wrong. But if he sincerely endeavors with intelligence, then Krishna will give him the right intelligence to take the right decisions. That was the point Brahma is making here, that one cannot avoid the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever you do, you cannot change the order of it. Krishna has decided Priyavrat Maharaj is going to be a devotee, going to be a grahastha, he is going to be. Krishna has decided Priyavrat Maharaj is going to be the king, he is going to be. He cannot avoid whatever he does. But then if he exercises his intellectual power, if he takes this tapasya to purify his intelligence, then Krishna will grant the necessary intelligence to take the right decision. But if Priyavrat Maharaj would have been lazy, then he would not get this intelligence to take the right decision. So that is one thing we have to understand. The second point here, Prabhupada speaks about Yukta Vairagya. Now, Yukta Vairagya, as I told you, is also a matter of confusion among devotees. We should understand exactly what Yukta Vairagya is. So Rupa Goswami gives this definition which we discussed. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatharam Upayunjata Nirmanda Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. So very concrete definition. It says that Anasaktasya Vishayan, there is no attachment towards material desires. Yatharam Upayunjata, we should not have attachment towards material desires, material objects, but use the material objects. How are we going to use? Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. Nirbandha, without being attached to ourselves, Krishna Sambandhe, for the sake of Krishna. This is Yukta Vairagyam. So, Yukta Vairagyam is using everything for Krishna's service, but there is a condition there, being detached from it. So, who can perform Yukta Vairagya? Yukta Vairagya can be performed by a person who is Anasakta Sevishan, who doesn't have material desire. Only people without material desires can perform Yukta Vairagya. Many times we use this word Yukta Vairagya very commonly, that we are using so many things in Krishna's service. We say, Prabhuji, this is Yukta Vairagya. Actually, we are not we cannot perform Yukta Vairagya because we are attached to material things. We are not anasakta. We have some asakti. I remember long ago, some 10 years ago, my wife would put this argument that there is a need of a car because we can go to temple easily. So now, okay, the desire is there, and if we have the vehicle, we can use the vehicle initially. That is dovetailing. The word used is by Prabhupada is dovetailing. Dovetailing is material desires are there, but the material desires are channelized in such a way that they can be used in Krishna's service. Okay. So if there is a train, the engine, the bogies, as long as they are connected to the engine, they are going on the right path. So material desires are there. I have a desire to eat pizza. Okay. Prabhupada says at least offer it and eat. So cook it, offer it and eat. That's good thing, because you are not eating sin. You are eating everything that is offered to Krishna, and you are taking the remnants and eating. So it's a great beginning in Krishna Bhakti, because thousands of years we have consumed food which is not offered to Krishna. A very good beginning is that we are offering to Krishna and eating. So it's a very good beginning. So similarly, everything used for Krishna by us is dovetailing. We are in the beginning stage, we are dovetailing everything. But then when this dovetailing comes to the level of Yukta Vairagya, when there is Anasakta Vishaya. So Vairagis can become Yukta Vairagis. When we become renounced, that is when we can practice Yukta Vairagya. Till then, we are not practicing Yukta Vairagya. We are practicing dovetailing only. So, as long as the thought is there that eventually, okay, pizza I like, so I am offering to Krishna. Or bread I like, so I am offering to Krishna. Cake I like, I am offering to Krishna. That is dovetailing. When we start thinking what Krishna likes, I will offer to, then we come to the stage of Vairagya. And once we come to the stage of Vairagya, then Yukta Vairagya will automatically follow. No, I am doing everything for Krishna's service. I will use the computer for Krishna's service. I will use the uh, mobile phone for Krishna's service. I will use the vehicle for Krishna's service. Then automatically the detached attachment that I have to use it for myself will not be there. The attachment for sense enjoyment will not be there. The pure thought of Nirbandhe Krishna Sambandhe, everything is in Sambandha with Krishna, then the attachment will not be there for ourselves. So this is what Brahma instructs Priyavrata, that you should understand that everything is a product of Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. This material world is also coming from Krishna. If you are a king in this material world, you don't become a non-devotee. You can become a pure devotee provided you have the Yukta Vairagya, that everything is used for Krishna. Then you automatically become a pure devotee. So one can remain a pure devotee even in this world by understanding everything belongs to Krishna and you have to use it. But before that, detachment is required. That is why when our brahmacharis are joining the temple, joining the ashram, the first service is not that they are suddenly given smartphones and they are told to preach and all. The first service is they have to wash the pots. They have to clean the toilets, they have to wash the pots. Then gradually, as they start doing this sincerely, then they are called in the kitchen where they have to cut the vegetables. Then gradually they have to assist the cook, they have to assist the pujari, they have to clean the temple hall. And in this way, once they are sufficiently detached, sufficiently renounced, then they will be given, okay, Prabhu, now you can start do one thing, distribute books. And as you distribute books, speak to people about philosophy. And in this way, gradually they are trained to come to the stage where they become preachers. They can sit on Vyasas and they can give classes and all those things. So with Vairagya, Yukta Vairagya follows afterwards. Initially, dovetailing is there, which is very good for neophytes. But then we cannot lifelong remain in the stage of dovetailing. We cannot remain as new devotees. Now, initially, oh, I like this, I offer to Krishna and I eat it, is okay. But lifelong, if we are thinking, I like this, I will offer to Krishna and eat it, then we have not progressed to the next level where we think what Krishna likes, so I can offer him what he likes. Now, from dovetailing, we have to move to Yukta Vairagya. You have to move to Vairagya and then to Yukta Vairagya, where we can engage everything in Krishna's service. So, these were some of the points which I thought we could discuss from today's thing. Because what Maharaj Priyavrata is in, these are practical problems which we all encounter in our life. And Bhagavatam gives a very, very nice direction. Brahma gives a very nice direction for all of us. And particularly the word Manishina is the theme of today's shloka. Manishina means with intelligence. With intelligence, we cannot defy the order of the Lord. But with intelligence, at least we can attract the attention of the Lord so that He can give us the right direction. And the intelligence will also be purified. Hare Krishna. Any thoughts in this regard? You all like to give some comments, some questions, some feedback? You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the a very wonderful and you have cleared most of the doubts. You can unmute, Prabhuji. You are on mute.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Prabhuji. And it was like very clear that like initially thought of creating the confusions, but at the end we cleared all the confusions with like how what should we do from our side, and how the intelligence comes to distinguish like what is it, I mean to make us very clear. And also at the end you have mentioned the differences between doubtailing, vairagya and ekta vairagya. So like this vairagya and ekta vairagya, like many most of the times is used like not in the appropriate context or manner. So, but like you made it very clear, and also you suggested, like with the story of the sparrow, you said like we have to put our endeavor so that like intelligence comes from the top, and that is very clear. And you said that like the way we are purifying the body with bath, we have to purify the intelligence, and that gets purified by studying the Srila Prabhupada's books, hear the lectures from the uh, spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada, and other God brothers, so that there might be some confusions, but like we'll be clear because we'll be putting our endeavor, and then intelligence comes from the Krishna, so we will be clear. Like very nice class, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot, Prabhuji. And devotees lines are already unmuted, so devotees can unmute and ask any questions. Hare Krishna. There are some comments, Prabhuji, from Uttara Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandat Prana. Thanks for the wonderful class. And comments from Saraswati Mataji is that Hare Krishna, Dandat Prana Prabhuji. Thanks for the very insightful class. Intelligence, laziness is very insightful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Other devotees, any other devotees wants to have any questions or clarifications?
If anyone wants to add some
Hey,
points
devotees,
also,
just now unmuted, sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you were telling about the sun. I think you said in Uttarayana he has created another sun. What actually that means, Prabhu?
yeah, gradually the secrets will be revealed now as we discuss this further. So what happens is that in Uttarayana sun moves very fast and in Dakshina sun moves very slow. So because of this there is more darkness. So to compensate for that, Priyavrata Maharaj rode on his chariot in the sky and he created a new sun at that time to solve that problem. So powerful he was.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna devotees, any other questions?
I'm not sure if it was too confusing.
No, bro, I think now everybody is clear. That is the reason I think we are not asking. Bro, in general, like I have one question. So in general, like even while doing the services also, one is that like intelligence, and the other thing is that while doing services, so we'll get like our authorities or one devotee comes and says, Prabhu, anyway, like now you are free and please do this service. And other devotee might come and say, Prabhuji, like for you, like you have the skill set to do the other service, so why don't you go there? So in those kind of things, like how to decide, Prabhuji? Like should we decide based on the urgency and the importance, or like how to decide, Prabhuji?
Yes, ma'am. So in that there are two aspects. One is we are a part of an institution, and the second thing is we are an individual. So both have to be considered. For example, what the institution's demands are. If the institution has a particular service, suppose today there is Radhashtami and there is a problem in cooking or there is a problem in deity worship. Now the festival cannot be disturbed because of that. So if there is a need of a person whose service is required, if requested for, so then for the institutional perspective, we have to participate definitely. So whatever is necessary has to be done. And but at the same time, if there are long-term things where a particular service authorities want, and if there is a conflict in authorities and all those things, there is a need to apply intellectual. We have to discuss with senior devotees. We have to ourselves study the Shastras, what is good for me. And it is not just black and white. I'll give an example. In Vedic system, there were farmers, there were so many different varieties. There were brahmanas, there were all different types of people. Now, suppose mostly the people took up occupations based on birth. So whatever my father did, I will just continue that. They did not have headache for career and all these things. But suppose there is a farmer and his son is more intellectual, he can do better services. He would enhance the service of his father only because he would study the shastras and without using the intellect, he would enhance the occupation of farming itself. So that way, it was not specific like intellectual and labor and all those things. They were in within the services how they would enhance and all they would apply intellectually and they would continue that. So similarly in the Krishna consciousness movement, suppose somebody is very much enthusiastic about uh, intellectual philosophy and all those things, and he is giving the service of kirtana. So then he can do kirtana and he can study the shastras and Prabhupada's teachings, and he can enhance the quality of kirtana that is there in the temple. He can enhance the standards of kirtana. Suppose somebody is philosophical and is given cooking service, then he can study philosophy and shastras, what were the traditional ways of cooking which Krishna liked, and he can enhance the cooking service. So similarly, now like this, we can within our bracket also apply our intelligence and enhance the service by adding variety here. So when if there is a specific question regarding particular service, it will be more easy to provide guidelines. If the devotee is confused, Prabhu, this is the situation in my life, but I am receiving this, then it is more easy to provide guidelines. But if general question is there, then I thought that this way we can manage the institutional needs also plus individually also. Now, when an individual puts efforts in this regard, then automatically Krishna provides direction. I know the answer is quite vague, but this is what I feel in this regard.
No,
What
bro.
do you
Yeah,
think?
yes, bro. You have like given the very nice clarification, like to decide. Thank you, bro. So, Hare Krishna, devotees, any other questions? Otherwise, we can end the class here. I think everybody is clear, Prabhuji. So, we'll end the class with Vaishnava Pranama. Vancha kalpatarupesha. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Ananta Gaur Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class, and thanks to all the devotees for your active hearing and participation. Hare Krishna. Now ending the class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.